All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Monday, June 13th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students and members alike perhaps rejoining us live inside our trading room. I'll tell you what, there's not much to look forward to perhaps on a very gloomy down market day. Might be as good of a day as any to get some errands done, get the gardening done perhaps. Great to see Nina joining us live right now and a bunch of us joining us otherwise. And for all of us joining us live in social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, likewise, great to see you folks. But, not a whole lot to look forward to here normally on a day like today. Obviously, Dow was down 600 points heading into the market open, ended up seeing much further of a drop off shortly afterwards, right around 10 o'clock. We ended up seeing the S&P ETF SPY just continue to break down there. It looks like we're seeing a lower high and potential lower low coming up here, at least more of a local lower low. We'll see if it ends up getting to the low of the day by the time the market closes. But definitely looks, pretty strong, like on the way down here. So, I'll tell you what, folks, we have a lot to talk about here. And not just in terms of, what's on the, docket for this afternoon, going through the percent gainers and losers lists. I ended up trying to do this on Friday. I wanted to, actually, I should say, but I ended up, it slipped past me. I forgot to do it come Friday afternoon, here in the afternoon meeting. I want to go over the SPY, or rather, actually, not just the SPY, but the S&P as a whole, the S&P 500 index. We're going to show you the chart across the last 50 years, the pattern that I showed probably about a month ago. We introduced this about a month ago, a fib channel that we had back over the last 50 years, and pretty interesting to see how it's progressed over the last couple of weeks even. So with that, a lot to talk about here. The AGRI trade, hey, not everything's dropping and going with the market, perhaps. AGRI, Agriforce, a stock that we're actually pretty familiar with. I'm actually going to jump back to the monthly chart there. Just give me a quick moment. But for right now, the daily, you could see that this stock back from October of last year, back from mid of March, just even recently, you're heading back into the mid of May, and just on and off. We've been following the stock off of news and off of just big volume. We started this meeting. It was kind of slow inside the trading room, kind of slow within the market. I'm just, trying to fish around, scan the market, and I saw AGRI on the gainer side. It was trading a lot more volume compared to what it was from, late morning, early afternoon. So, I'm just thankful I clicked on it, I guess. Thing was already running up pretty nicely. So hopefully there's a lot more left to this trade here, the AGRI. Definitely I'll put this on the afternoon list here just to begin. Right? Doesn't hurt us to do that. But let's kind of go lightning around here across the gainers and losers list. I do want to, like I said, talk about the S&P just at the end, do a little charting on that, just, more so than anything. All right, so the Dawn trade, we'll kind of skim through Dawn from earlier today. I mean, hey, it ended up popping up pretty nicely in pre-market. It popped up a little bit after the market opened up. Took a little while for that squeeze, actually, but, obviously wasn't really too good afterwards. So, I was pretty fearful of this just plummeting right back down, but it's actually done worse. It's actually doing worse than that. Because if this ended up tanking right away after the market opened, or, if it ended up tanking just even earlier, at least we would have taken our eyes off it. This damn thing has been teasing us all day for another move back up, for another big move down. If you're able to short it, it's just done nothing. So obviously now at this point, we're not going to be as keen to follow it here for the afternoon, but, make up your mind now at this point, Dawn. HILS, this one obviously more on the way down. So, this was kind of washed from mid-morning even. OPTN still kind of hanging near the highs right now. A bit of a spotty chart, though, so not too particular about that. EKSO, hey, this one ended up having a nice little pop after the market opened up. So briefly to cover this, broke under and then right back over to. From there, ended up making a huge run. More important, well, not more. At the same time, as it continued to push up, you may wonder, well, how much more can it keep pushing up? Am I able to still jump in on this trade? It's a matter of flipping resistance into support, right? Seeing higher highs, higher lows, seeing resistance turn into support. So with that, we ended up seeing actually this break above 235, and it was already at like 250, 252 at the time. And I'd said at that point, like, hey, on a pullback, this needs to hold over 235 area. Well, thankfully for this one, you can't say it all the time, but for this one, it ended up proving so. It held support and led to a nice push back up. I was down from this morning after the market opened up, and thankfully, this was one of the few trades that led me to turn back into the profit or turn back into the plus. So, I ended up getting out on this trade under 260, left a little amount on the table there, but it was a great entry from past resistance 235, late to the party, but still able to grab a good piece of the pie. And right now this thing is making a bit of a lower high still across the high of the day. So not fully sold on it for the afternoon. If it pops during this meeting, maybe. RJF calling out the AERC trade. So yeah, we were watching this going into this meeting. We had our eyes on it, obviously, from the market open. It was active in pre-market, but I wasn't really too thrilled about it. Wasn't on the pre-market list, wasn't on the morning list. But hey, it's on our side list for a reason. The stock exploded back from the beginning of last week and really was holding strong since. So, we were hopeful for that pop, but we decided to focus on Coinbase, Dawn, Blue, Redbox, obviously, also. But this ended up popping, and we called this out pretty early on after the open. So, it treated us pretty nicely, at least with the initial breakout off of 13. But from there, well, hey, look at the order book now. It's what the order book looked like after the market opened. It was pretty tough to trade after the initial breakout, right? So again, you hope to see resistance flip into support. Looks like just a moment ago you had your bounce off of 14 area. For as much as this pushed up over the last 3 to 5 days, or if not more, it's going to tank, right? Now, at the same time as you say that, right, and it certainly will at some point, this stock, and we've been talking about this point as well, the stock dropped from 110 down to sub 2. Perhaps there's more recovery room on the way up. So, you definitely hope to, keep this on your radar, keep it on your side list. And, we've had a great eye on this stock throughout most of the day for this reason. It's pushed up pretty nicely. So, you know what? I like it right now. The AERC trade, I'll put back on the list there, RJF. All right, keep it going. CISO, not a whole lot happening here. AGRI, we already talked about that, led off the meeting. We keep it going, folks. Now, really quick, little housekeeping note. I wanted to do this mid meeting while I have a lot of us concurrently on YouTube. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, join us live. We'll be conducting our weekly Traders Talk workshop, which we normally host live inside our trading room. And for all of us there, you do not need to go on YouTube. You could stay right inside the trading room as usual tomorrow. Traders Talk is our live weekly workshop that we almost always conduct exclusively live inside the Cybergroup trading room. Maybe 2 or 3 times across the calendar year. We'll spread the love and show it out for all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube. I think it might be YouTube only, if I'm not mistaken, actually. So pardon me for saying that. I'll retract that. YouTube only. So feel free to join us on YouTube, that being youtube.com/cybertradingu. And that'll be tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, with that, the blue trade. The stock was shortable on my platform going into the open. Unfortunately, this damn thing tanked so fast at the market open here. I had zero time to get the entry off from 6 or 625, I think the level I wanted was. So it ended up penultimately making that move before the open or right as the market was opening. We normally tell our students, and I like to preach it myself, we tend to wait the first 3 to 5 minutes after the open before we start seriously, looking to enter trades. So I wanted this to retrace back up towards 6 after. It didn't get close enough and then just went down without me. It was a tough missed opportunity right there. I'll tell you what, though, this stock is still dropping right now, slowly but steadily. It's still shortable on my platform. It's still tradable in that regard. So I don't mind slipping the blue on our list here again. And if it fails to break lower and if support does hold, then maybe we do see a bigger and better bounce heading into the close. We did happen to have a pretty good bounce earlier today, though. Another missed opportunity very briefly for me here, actually, just to show you that. I had a fib retracement set from the close back from the past trading day before it was halted up to the pre-market high. And this freaking thing ended up laying maybe like 5 or 4 cents, maybe even less, like 3 cents above the 61% retracement or 71.6, I think it was. Just, I wanted the under and over, the slingshot. And for all of us live inside the trading room, you folks know what that means. I just didn't get it. It just held right above it, hovered right above my line, and it squeezed on up without me. Just another big missed opportunity on this thing. But again, it's still tradable. Hopefully, there could be one last chance to follow this. Looks like so far on the way down heading into the afternoon. So, we have AGRI, we have AERC, and we got the blue stock so far. All right. Market is obviously in a range here for right now, as it has been. So, I don't know how much of an exciting close we'll have here. Should that range look to kind of, contain the market? Red box from earlier today. This is the second of three stocks that got me out of my hole this morning, and it was more heading into the mid-afternoon here. I wish she was in the room. I've been looking for her in the trading room earlier, just coming off our coaching session. So I was on a call with one of our students, Catherine, going into the 1 o'clock call it was, and at the time we were talking about just basically what we normally talk about in coaching and in traders talk, just more of the preparation aspect before the market opens and how you could look to use those levels to try and follow a stock throughout the day, right? Follow along. All right, let's flip back to a monthly chart here on Redbox. I've been following this range of levels for the last few trading days at least. But back from October of last year, the monthly close 1414. You can see the data box right there, 1414 the close. Then the open just, in November 1425. What's the low of the day, folks? 1423. What that essentially means is this ended up snipping under my line at 1425. And I was watching this with Catherine when it was breaking under 15. So I told her, it was like coming off her call, and I said, with my next student, I'm going to look to just jump right into this trade if it can make that move I want it to make. So thankfully, I was watching this right then and there for the crappy morning I had. Geez, I guess I wasn't watching the right stocks at the right time, but nonetheless, this was like the perfect gift. And this was the main thing that led me to flip right into a profit. So with that, I was in from 1425 exactly. I took half out under 15, half out right at 1523, left some money on the table. Don't really care at this point. I'm going to make sure I remain in the plus throughout the day. I'm going to trade like a chicken heading into the afternoon, I think. So, for right now, the red box trade here, I don't know. It's like pretty flat. Maybe it could pop. Maybe. I'm not a big fan of maybes. So for right now, I'm going to pass on this. All right. What else we got here on the gainer side, folks? I mean, again, market's obviously in a range. Dow is down 600 heading into the open today. But, that doesn't mean that we're not going to find, anything that's moving on upward. We just had AGRI. Tell you what, actually, as I'm skimming through this list, a lot of ETFs here. A lot of ETFs. Here's Mogo. Just wanted to look at this one here briefly. All right, let's hop on over to the losers list with that in mind. I mean, geez, it's like really ETF written here. So I'm sure the losers list will be similar, but let's just see if there's any familiar names that are down big, right? Maybe Roblox, RBLX, maybe, an AMC or a NEO. Obviously, the Bitcoin stocks took a huge hit. Coming up, we're not going to do as much of a review on Bitcoin, just to let you know. We're going to do a lot more of it on the S&P. I'll explain why in a bit. But MicroStrategy, one of the major, Bitcoin holding stocks or companies out there, Michael Saylor is getting awfully close to getting or to the beginning of his liquidation. I think he said Bitcoin has to drop all the way down to 3,500 in order for him to get rid of his entire Bitcoin portfolio, to be fully 100% liquidated. So when they're talking about Bitcoin dropping down to 21,000 and Michael Saylor getting liquidated, oh no, he's going to be fine so long as it doesn't really drop down that much lower than there. Obviously, he wouldn't want to be in that position to begin with, but I think he'll be fine. This company will be fine. I have no position in MSTR, but obviously Bitcoin will briefly talk about here in just a bit. Geez, a lot of stuff hard to borrow otherwise. I mean, assumedly so, but geez, I mean, we'll have to really dig through the side list right now because everything here otherwise is hard to borrow or just, low crappy volume. HIBL, 261,000 shares. All right, so let's do a rummage through here really quick, folks. AMC, how are we looking? Nice little bounce back up on AMC. Don't get me wrong, it's tradable, but unless if the markets are really squeezing on upward, Not really too big of a fan. NEO's at the low of the day and down over 11%, and it's shortable still. So this is as good of any stock to follow heading into the afternoon. Any stock that's respectively at the highs or at the lows. Granted, market's still in this range, but NEO has obviously shown great weakness. LI is not showing that much weakness right now. This hasn't really trended back down much just yet. I'm not just a sucker for NEO, folks. It actually looks good today. How about that? All right, so NIO, I'll put exclusively on our list. Maybe XPEV here, similar stock to NEO. Not really looking as good either. All right, that's fun. Bobby on YouTube asking about AGRI. We had already covered that. We started the meeting off by going over the AGRI trade, Bobby. So that one's already on our list. RJF asking about COGT. Hey, COGT, this looks great. So obviously, as we're going from top to bottom across the gainers and losers, this was ripping on up. So for right now, this goes right on our list. Now the question is, where can we find our levels on this trade? $10 is major resistance, you would assume. 10,000 share order currently on the ask there. It already broke over 10, so you started to see the buying coming in already. But just even looking at the monthly chart here, you could see, pretty big resistance looking at the monthly. I mean, just way ahead. I mean, we're talking like 14-ish, 1390. Obviously, I'm not going to hold my breath and wait for that just yet. It still has to really make a strong break over 10. I think it's going to pull back first, and then perhaps later on make the retest. But really good call. I like this one. COGT and Norman too inside the live trading room. I can't watch both at the same time, but looking back on both right now, Norman had called that out just earlier. RJF on YouTube, pretty much at the same time. All right, so folks, if there's anything else, we'll wrap it up at the end. I told my colleague Rich to clip this coming up just so we could have this on our YouTube channel. So for recording purposes, today would be Monday, June 13th. Now I bring that up first because really quickly, we're going to talk more about the S&P 500 index, namely, and we're going to show you the chart dating back to like even 1935, 1930, but really focus over the last 50 years of the S&P chart. Now with that though, I want to bring up just really briefly for all of us joining us right now, we had done this video here. I'll show you right now this video, and it's posted on our YouTube channel. We posted this video back on January 22nd. Just what if the Bitcoin bull market peaked then? Well, we had to react at that point, and we had to go over all scenarios. We can't just be a perma-bull our whole life here and just expect Bitcoin to go up if it's not. Now, I bring this up because essentially Bitcoin has a very strong correlation with the S&P, more now than ever. It always has had a great correlation, but recently over the last several months, we've had a stronger correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P, between more institutions dipping into crypto and Bitcoin as a whole. But nonetheless, it's to say that we were anticipating, should Bitcoin fail to get back over 40,000 and hold above it and run from there, for it to drop down as low as 18, 17,000. Now, you can go back on this full video on our YouTube channel. You could type in Cyber Trading University Bitcoin, and it'll be one of the featured videos right there. You could always like and subscribe right on our YouTube channel just to be as most up to date as possible with what we're putting out on our YouTube channel. But let me bring up the S&P chart now, because obviously from Thursday into Friday of last week, and then obviously into pre-market this morning, where the Dow at least was down over 600 points. I didn't get the exact number for the S&P heading into the open here, but markets were down big once again today. Now, I had shown this exact chart probably about a month ago. It wasn't clipped out and posted on our YouTube channel though, so that's what we're looking to do right now. But dating back to 1974, 1975, the bottom there all the way to basically present day, this right here, is a fib channel between the two major dip points from 1974 and the 2008-2009 recession to this peak that we had dating back to the dot-com bubble, the peak of the dot-com bubble. So essentially what this creates is an extended Fibonacci channel. Now, this is really good for swing trading, really good for investing. I'm personally more indicator based when it comes to swing trading. Now, I say that just right away because coming up later on this year, if not even this month, if I'm not mistaken, Cyber Trading University is going to be beginning to launch a swing trading course. So, for all of our members here, at least be on the lookout for that. But we're going to be talking a lot about this, a lot about Fibonacci's, a lot about different indicators. That's more of a me thing, more of a Josh Levitan thing than a Fausto Pugliese thing, right? You know, Fausto's not an indicator guy. But nonetheless, here's what I want to show you with this Fibonacci channel. This is the pretty interesting part about this. Let's even just start back from 2010 onward, from the bottom of the dip point here. So since it's pretty interesting. We ended up seeing a resistance hold here pretty nicely. Resistance here got flipped into support. Over time, we ended up seeing a gradual move up. This essentially is COVID. So we ended up seeing a major shake, down at that point. It ended up going under and over this line here within the channel. It squeezed back up. Now, here is the discouraging part about this, if anything. And I got a couple of ads here probably in between. But here's the discouraging part about this exact Fib channel. I would have wanted to have seen a false breakout at some point over time here. Because at least the false breakout shows potential buying interest. It shows interest above that price. Folks, we got zero interest here. I mean, it didn't even come close. So what happens? It certainly seems like the momentum ran out, within the market at that point. So we ended up seeing the beginnings of a pullback over the last, several months. This is a monthly chart. So we ended up seeing it come back down to the 61.8% retracement line right here. And that was just over the last month and a half. We're obviously much lower from there at this point, and it only seems to be as if we're making a move down towards the 50% retracement line. So when was the last time the 50% was holding pretty nicely? Well, it was right back from here, 2014, a major resistance point. Like I said, it got flipped into support a couple of points here. You can't really count COVID. You can't really count COVID here, folks. Obviously, disasters happen and life happens where you happen to see major catastrophic moves that could affect the market. So that's what happened there. But just to say, generally speaking, that 50% retracement line was holding pretty well from like 2010 onward. And I know this Fibonacci channel was built, within kind of this range here. But even look what happened, beforehand, before around like the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s. That 50% retracement was holding pretty damn slick, wasn't it? Little food for thought. So if there's such a correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P, is more now than ever. And perhaps there could be a decouple over time, but I'm not going to wait for that. I think that there's strong correlation enough to where we can anticipate the dip point on Bitcoin to be based off the dip point on the S&P. So with that brings me to my next set of indicators here. You have the EMAs, the blue and the orange. Yeah, those are like Met colors. New York Met colors. I don't know if anyone's a baseball fan. New York Mets. Ugh, gross, disgusting. I'm a Yankee fan. Anyway, with that though, the blue, well, considering we're on a monthly chart, the blue represents a 5-year moving average. Essentially, it's a 60-month moving average, 60-period moving average. And then the orange is double that. So think of the blue as a 5-year moving average, and the orange is a 10-year moving average. I find this to be really important because even dating back to like the 50s or 30s, I don't think there's been a singular point where these two have even crossed. So that speaks for itself. And then from that point, otherwise, there's been several points where it's broken under these lines, of course. But with that said, that leads me to think that there could be a lot more room down on the S&P before we happen to see continuation on the way up. There's a bunch of folks that I've been following on Twitter for crypto and Bitcoin who are, quite bullish over the last, few months. And, these are people who had great predictions and calls over the last 2-3 years. I would reference them to you. I would recommend them to you, and perhaps in our chat board, I'll talk to them about them later, the follows I have on Twitter. But they were wrong. Obviously, we saw continued weakness within Bitcoin and within the S&P as a whole here. So it would not shock me over the next several months. It could be the next 6 to 8 months to where we happen to see the S&P pull back down towards that 60-month, that 5-year moving average in blue. That would tie up pretty nicely with that 50% retracement line, wouldn't it? That they're pretty much there right now. So I would think of that as a major support level going forward, at least, within the S&P. All right. Alrighty, folks. I think that just about wraps it up for me, at least across the S&P. Once more, if you wanted to go back on our analysis on Bitcoin in particular, we've done a video dating back to late January. We did a few from that point, but really that was the first one we put out. And so far, that one, certainly gives you the best idea as far as where we personally anticipate Bitcoin to bounce off of at this stage. So, with that, I'm following the S&P more intently now than ever, just given the correlation. Are there any other stocks, lastly, folks, that we didn't have a chance to cover before we finish up? I have a coaching call at 3 o'clock with one of our students who I did not send the link out to yet. So, Jim, be on the lookout for that. All right, folks, I think that just about wraps it up for me here. Once more, for all of us on YouTube, please join us tomorrow, that being Tuesday, June 14th. Tomorrow live at 11 o'clock Eastern time, right on YouTube. We're going to be doing our weekly Traders Talk workshop. Once more, for all of us inside the live trading room, you don't need to go anywhere. We're going to do it as usual. So if you're inside the live trading room tomorrow, I'm going to come on right at 11 o'clock as usual. It'll just be also out there on YouTube as well. So for any one of us on YouTube that would like to join tomorrow and have questions or trades or stocks or symbols altogether, crypto or indices or equities, whatever it may be, that you would want to cover with us here tomorrow live, send it over to josh@ctutrading.com. If you have not yet liked or subscribed right yet on our YouTube channel as well, just right like on the yellow banner below says, just please do that as well. That really helps us out as a whole. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of us there tomorrow morning. And then for all of us just live inside the trading room, I will be back on the mic, if not at 3:30 Eastern time. I may tag Rich in for me. So if I'm not on at 3:30, then I will see everyone coming up tomorrow morning then. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.